Hey, RetconRaider here. I'd like to start off by saying that this video is dedicated to one of my Patreon backers, Mildly Nuclear. He's one of the regulars on the official Phoenix Point Discord channel, and it's thanks to people like him that I can continue spending so much time talking about games like this one. Thanks, Mildly Nuclear. That said, let's dive in. We're coming up on the end of the year, so I thought it was a good time to review all the new information that we've received about Phoenix Point over the past couple of months. In December alone, Snapshot Games has released 2 official newsletters and an ebook, as well as numerous teaser images and short videos. As usual, if you've been keeping close track of the game's development, then you may have already heard some of what I'm about to talk about. I'll at least try to keep things interesting by mixing in some more obscure information, as well as 1 or 2 previously unreleased bits of concept art. Let's begin by taking a quick look at the 2 official newsletters that were released in December. Since this information is readily available on the official website, I won't be spending too much time going over it, so be sure to visit the Phoenix Point homepage if you want more details. First up, Snapshot Games has officially announced that they're unlocking the second stretch goal from the original Fig campaign. Although the campaign never quite reached the funding needed for the floating Phoenix base, the developers decided to include it anyway. It won't be ready in time for the game's release, but it will be made available after the game's launch as free downloadable content. In that same update, the developers gave us our first look at a new ground vehicle, the Scarab Atv. This is a fully automated, artificially intelligent, all-terrain vehicle designed and built by the Phoenix Project in the 2020s. Scarab ATVs can carry a crew of up to 8 people and are capable of maintaining a safe, self-contained atmosphere for up to 1 week at a time. This is a particularly interesting detail because Snapshot Games recently hinted that the player might be able to use ground vehicles, such as the Scarab, to transport squads into battle. The teaser about the Scarab also included a decent amount of lore related to the vehicle, but I'll be taking a closer look at that in a future video. For now, let's just move on. Next, Kevin Hill gave us a rather thorough look at what the new Jericho faction havens will look like. Heavily inspired by the brutalist architectural style of the mid-20th century, New Jericho's havens will be made up of massive fortress-like concrete structures. The developers have already started modeling numerous different buildings and specialty props intended for use in New Jericho havens, and there's a good reason for that, but we'll come back to it in just a moment. Kevin Hill also gave us a glimpse at the planned procedural generation system, which will be used in Phoenix Point to randomly generate the game's battle maps. You can check out the official update if you want to know the finer details, but it already looks pretty impressive. In layman's terms, each map consists of a predetermined number and layout of building spaces, and once a map is generated, the game will fill those building spaces with random variations of the appropriate type of building for that space. Prop placement will also be randomized, including not only larger props such as trees or barricades, but also smaller props such as the random items on a shelf. Some buildings will be made up of multiple smaller structures that can be mixed and matched, or even stacked or combined with other structures to allow for a greater variety of external and internal layouts. Safeguards will be put in place to reduce the chances of nonsensical map layouts, ensuring that things like doors and stairs are placed in a logical fashion. Although the bulk of the procedural generation update focused on the designs for the new Jericho havens, it also included a small teaser showcasing some of the concept art for residential buildings that might be used by the disciples of Anu. Now let's move on to what most people will probably consider the biggest news. Let's talk about the upcoming pre-alpha demo that Snapshot Games currently has in development. This new, updated version of the demo will be unveiled at the PC Gamer Weekender at the London Olympia Centre in February of 2018. Julian Gollop himself will be presenting and playing the new demo at the event on February 17th. This demo will consist of a single mission in which the player will take control of a squad of New Jericho soldiers during a haven defense mission. Obviously, this demo will make use of many of the assets that have been showcased over the past few months, including the updated weapon and soldier designs for new Jericho soldiers, as well as the new Jericho Haven designs that were heavily featured in the Procedural Generation update. Although the developers are keeping the finer details under wraps, they have hinted that the mission in the demo is related to characters or events from some of the official Phoenix Point fiction. The demo will also feature the game's simulated ballistics system, as well as new music by John Broomhall, who is, of course, the composer who handled the music for the original XCOM trilogy. It also seems likely that the convention demo will include the updated crabmen that were featured in the October update, and who were again showcased in the late December update. Snapshot Games even released a short video showcasing the latest versions of the updated modular crabmen, featuring a number of different mutations. They also released both concept art and partially completed in-game models of the updated guns that some of the crabmen will be able to wield in battle. Of course, it's important to note that the upcoming demo should not be confused with the upcoming pre-alpha build that will also be released sometime during the first quarter of 2018. This pre-alpha build will be an ongoing, regularly updated build that will lack the initial polish of the convention demo, but which will provide access to an overall greater amount of content as the game's development moves forward. The pre-alpha build will be available to everyone who backed the Phoenix Point crowdfunding campaign on Fig, but other people will still be able to get access to it by pre-ordering the game on the official Phoenix Point website, as long as they order the Digital Extras edition or higher. Next, we have something that I'm personally quite excited about: new official fiction for the Phoenix Point setting. Alan Stroud has been teasing us for quite some time about the new stories that were in the works, and it looks like they're finally coming out in the very near future. Snapshot Games already released one ebook in December called Phoenix Point: The Briefing. It reprinted several stories that were already available on the official website, but it also included 7 pages of new content, most of which was focused on expanding the lore surrounding the mysterious Phoenix Project. There are apparently plans for at least 2 more ebooks in the near future: The Briefing Number 2 and The Briefing Number 3. While the first ebook mostly contained older material, The Briefing Number 2 will instead feature at least 4 new stories by Alan Stroud and Jonas Kairatsis, including Time Vault, Depths of Civilization, Colony, and The Acts of Taxiarch Nergal. If you're interested in getting the ebooks, be sure to sign up for the official Phoenix Point mailing list on the official website. As usual, I'll include some links in the description. Now, that gets us all caught up with the official updates, but there's still a bit more to talk about. First, the developers teased us in mid-December with this concept art showcasing some potential Phoenix Point operatives, complete with their distinctive orange and white color scheme. Although unconfirmed, it seems likely that figure number 1 is the Sniper class, while the other 4 figures are either the Assault or Heavy class. Next, Snapshot Games Community Manager has given us a few more bits of information about the Specialist Technician class. It's not much, but apparently the Technician will be able to multitask. For example, the Technician will be able to attach his primary weapon to his backpack, turning it into a makeshift turret that will defend him while he takes other actions. The Community Manager has also given us some rather interesting details about the game's map scale, specifying that each map tile is intended to represent a 1 by 1 meter square, while each level of elevation is approximately 2.4 meters. He even shared a simple reference image that the developers are apparently using to establish a baseline for certain things, such as cover and animations. Then we have, well, this gets into a bit of a gray area. The official Phoenix Point Discord server has a special channel for higher-tiered backers, where Julian Gollop sometimes shares new information. He's recently started pitching a potential new mechanic involving the game's larger monsters, and I've gotten permission to share it here. Inspired by the Nemesis system from Shadows of Mordor and the Chosen system from War of the Chosen, Julian Gollop is currently exploring the idea of presenting the bigger mutants as persistent individual characters that the player can encounter multiple times. These monsters would be based out of special alien structures on the world map, with a chance of showing up in any mission that takes place within a certain radius of their nest. During battle, they would attempt to flee if things went badly, and over time they would slowly mutate into more and more powerful forms. To prevent this, the player would either need to kill the monster before it could escape an encounter, or they would need to find a way to track the monster back to its nest. In either case, once the monster was eliminated, it would reduce alien activity in the surrounding area. Although it does sound rather promising, and Julian Gollop certainly seems quite taken with the idea, it's important to remember that this particular mechanic is still at a conceptual stage. There's currently no guarantee that it will actually make it into the final game. Now let's wrap things up by taking a quick peek at the official Phoenix Point logo animation that the developers are currently working on. I've been told that the current sound is just a placeholder, so the final version of the animated logo will likely look and sound at least a little bit different than this prototype version. And that's pretty much everything we've learned about Phoenix Point over the past few weeks. Honestly, I was under the impression that things were a bit slow this month because of the holidays, but in retrospect, the developers actually released quite a bit of new information. Of course, now that we're moving into the new year, we're likely to see a lot more news about the game's development. We've got at least 2 more ebooks coming out in the immediate future, followed by the updated demo in February, and then the backer-exclusive pre-alpha build sometime after that. That means I'll probably be making a lot more videos about Phoenix Point over the next few months. But for now, this is RetconRaider, signing off. Thanks for listening. Oh, and remember, although I do love talking about Phoenix Point, you can find out more about the game by visiting the official website, the Facebook page, the YouTube channel, the Discord channel, or the campaign page over on Fig. As always, links are in the description.